So we'll go into our first message for the day, and it says it's from Depressed Nanaya. Now, she says, "Hello, Jess. I met my husband 10 years ago, and all has been good until recently. He naturally likes slim ladies, so I was very conscious not to gain so much weight after childbirth. Some friends still doubt that I have 3 kids because of how good I look. I visit the gym 4 times a week so I can still have and look good for my husband. After my 3rd child, my husband told me to get a tubal ligation done since he didn't want to have any more children, and I agreed to that. A month ago, my husband came back from work to tell me a teenager, an SHS 2 student, was pregnant for him, so he wanted to help take care of the baby when the baby was born. Reason being, he doesn't want the baby but wants to continue her education. He says he would compensate me with any amount I wanted if I helped take care of this baby. I was shocked to the bone. How could he have cheated after trying so hard to be the woman that he desires? Note that our sex life is perfect and I look great. I've stopped going to the gym because I don't think it's worth it. My question is, do you think I should take care of this baby? What if he brings another one? I'm so depressed because divorce is not an option for me." So that's our first message from Depressed Nanaya. All right, Rosina, the way you're looking at me, you have to start this conversation.
I was wishing I wasn't in the studio. Then I would be excused.
I know, today they can't swear.
So this is heavy. Oof. This is heavy. This is... Do you know, the thing is that this, what it does to you is that when you feel like you're putting in your 100% and you feel like you're getting your 100% and everything is, a smooth ride, because up until this revelation, everything was perfect. Like you said, they had a perfect sex life, everything was okay, she still looks attractive. So there was really nothing to complain about. When something like this happens, to start with, it hits you. And that's why I can understand the fact that she's depressed. It hits you. And because for her, divorce is not an option, I'm thinking that it's most likely she hasn't even addressed it. And that's why she's still depressed. You see, there's so many things in here. The betrayal, the fact that you really know who your man is, being the physical person that your man wants. Is that enough to keep him chaste? Is that enough to keep him put? This whole notion that, men can sleep with other people and yet still love you. Is it a myth or is it a reality? All those things come jumping at you. But I think that you need to have a conversation with him. You do need to have that conversation with him. He needs to understand what he's done to you. He needs to understand your depression. You need to have, I'm sure there are a lot of questions in your mind. You need to ask those questions and have them answered. And alongside, you probably need to see a therapist, because it's not easy for a whole decade to think that you have the perfect man, the perfect marriage, 3 beautiful, amazing children. This is like everybody's dream, come true. And then you wake up one morning and then there's a stepchild to confront with. There's an SHS 2 student. SHS 2 students, I'm thinking that probably below 18. How are you even going to tell somebody else that your competition or your rival is actually somebody who's probably even fit or probably just a little older than your kids? It's very difficult to swallow. So you need a professional to take you through that process. Now, the question about whether you should look after the child or not, that question, I don't think any of us can answer that for you, because you need to, before you attempt, don't look after the child because the man expects you to look after the child. Look after the child because you've come to that place where you feel you can actually look after the child. Because if it's not your decision to look after the child, what happens is that you probably want to take the child in because that's what's going to make your husband happy. For somebody who is looking good, not for yourself, but for your husband, it means that you are purely living for him. You take in that child, and one day you're going to look at the child, and instead of you doing what you said you would do, the child becomes a reminder of the infidelity, a reminder of the heartbreak, a reminder that child is the one thing that messed up your beautiful family. And the next thing you know, you are the wicked stepmother. So don't put yourself in that situation if you can't be in it. Be very frank. If you cannot take care of somebody else's child, especially a child that comes out of betrayal, you don't have to force yourself to take that on. So I think that this is a woman who she probably doesn't even know herself.
Right.
If your physical body is in shape purely because of
Somebody else.
Look, I know men. Look, my dad, for instance, he loves women with boobs and backside. Look, my stepmom didn't have it. My mom too doesn't have it. So seriously, most men end up marrying.
Almost the opposite.
Almost the opposite.
Really want,
yeah, even my husband, Charlie, those times if he sees boobs and he's crazy. Look at me. What do I have?
You actually have boobs.
Oh, please. We have latex foam.
Like
latex foam and ash foam is available, girl. So, you know what I mean? So all I'm saying is that, look, people do not necessarily marry what they fantasize about, because over time, it's what is within that is very important. You understand? So you went through all the struggle, not because you want to look good for yourself, not because you want to look in the mirror and go like, this is me, but because of your husband, purely because of you. I'm not saying that don't do it because of him, but purely because of him. And that's why you're ahead. Because that's why that preamble had to precede the story, because it's a big deal for you.
Yep.
You probably had to, and all of it, the whole motivation was my husband, my husband, my husband. So I think that you need to go for counseling, rediscover yourself, learn to do something for you. If you're going to look after the child, it has to be your decision. And if you feel you can't look after that baby, do not attempt to do it.
Right. Okay, Claudia, let me come to you. Let's hear the Germans win.
For me, I approach it very differently, because reading the story, I feel she didn't find herself before going into the marriage. She has probably not defined what she wants in the marriage. It's always been about the man, the man, the man, the man. So for me, the first step is to put herself first for once and ask herself what she actually wants now. And for her to have put it forward, whether to take care of the child or not, means that in the first instance, her first decision is not to take the child. So for me, I will go out of my way and tell her not to take the child. She doesn't need that constant reminder around her in her house. The girl has family. The girl's parents can take care of the child. The child can be better off with the girl's family. So for me, I will be bold to say the child shouldn't even come into the equation. It should be between her and her husband on how to work on the marriage. And marriage therapy has already been suggested, which is one of the best ways. And it's also for her to discover herself. If she loves going to the gym, she has to go back to the gym. If she wants to go on a long vacation to help herself and to find herself, she has to go back to it. But now it should be about herself. She should put herself first. And for the start, not agree to take that child. It is not her responsibility. The marriage is not just about the husband, it's also about her. So she should put herself first, ask herself what she wants now at this point in her life. You've done it all. He still betrayed you. So for once, put yourself first. Don't bring that child into the equation. It's already complicated. That child can be with her mother's family. They should be fine with that. And then the two of them can work it out. If it's couples therapy, since she's already stated that she doesn't want to leave the marriage, divorce is not an option. But maybe she should consider it. Maybe she should consider it, because you've done it all for this man. He still doesn't appreciate you. So what else can you do again? You can go for all the therapy in the world. But what else can you do again? What other things will make you happy? Because oftentimes, women feel once they have a man and a child, they are happy for life. Most of them have never envisaged their life without a man. So she needs to go on that self-discovery journey and find out if that marriage is even worth working on now, and also consider that as well. But for me, the child in the marital home is a no-no. There are so many other places that child can live and be happy with a girl's family for once. So for me, that's where I come from. And she should actually reconsider if she wants that marriage at all, if that marriage will still serve the purpose, because you've done it all. You can't kill yourself. You came to this world with a purpose, and she needs to rediscover herself and move in that direction. Yeah.
Let me pick your mind a little bit more. What do you think about this whole thing where he made her go for a tubal ligation only to go have another child?
that is wickedness on another level, and clearly a man who is not with you for love. You see, people marry for all reasons, and sometimes we are forced to believe that he married her for love. So on the first step, infidelity is a deal breaker if you are religious. So that marriage, if you are going purely religious, there's grounds for divorce now. She says she doesn't want to divorce. Second step, he made you alter your body. And I'm believing it's permanent.
Yes.
Which man who is in love with you would mislead you this way? And why do you think you still have to be with him and even think of negotiating with him at this point? He has lied. He has cheated. What else are you going to do?
Betrayed you.
Pray over him? Is that a solution? For me, I honestly don't see why she wants to stay in that arrangement. But if she decides to stay, it should be about her for now. She came to this world with a purpose. Her parents put her through school, took care of her for a purpose. You only met this man how many years ago, and suddenly you don't seem to have a life of your own. Everything revolves around him. And he knows it and he plays into it. He knows whatever he tells you to do, you do it. You go to the gym for him, you tie your tubes for him. You don't have a say in the marriage. It's about him and what he wants. But marriage is supposed to be about two people in a partnership, going it along the way, discussing everything, negotiating in your interest, in your best interest. So she needs a lot of introspection and therapy, a good couples therapy. Who doesn't think marriage should be the end game for every woman would be a good start.
All right, let's swing over to Johannesburg, South Africa. Sabi, are you there?
Yeah.
I just love the way you came in, like, yo, I'm still here.
There are so many factors to this. Like, my heart is like really, it's painful. It's painful for this woman because this is trauma on another level. And it's not only the trauma being inflicted on her, but it's also the trauma she's inflicted on herself. The number one thing I want to say here is big, in the boldest letters that you can find, betrayal. Not only the betrayal from him, but betrayal of self, okay? This marriage seems to be lacking boundaries. It seems to be lacking any form of, being reliable. It seems to be lacking accountability. It seems to be lacking integrity. She's requiring tenderness and she's requiring generosity of self from her husband. This is not a man that is capable of those things. This woman has no agency for self. She has no agency. Her whole life has revolved around this man, which is why there's now a problem of low self-esteem and struggle with anxiety and depression. And also, really big part of it is the shame. And it's so funny because this marriage she's managed to look at him as a god, and there's shame involved. And for those who don't understand what I mean when I say shame is focused on oneself. Shame says, I am bad. Shame says, I'm sorry that I'm a mistake. So, and my issue is the way she's written it, I could be wrong, but when a man comes and he says, I'm sorry, I can also ask, in this grade or whatever he says this girl is, what age is she? I don't understand the year two or...
Did not say, but she says she met her husband 10 years ago.
And they have three kids.
No, she says the girl was pregnant. The girl was pregnant.
Uh-huh.
She's in second year.
She's in secondary school.
That should be 15, 16.
Yeah, she'll be a teen.
20.
Yeah, maximum. This is like overly
16,
old.
17.
Yeah.
Okay. So this woman has spent her whole life being a sexy tanana, as we call it here, trying to be a sexy tanana, making sure her body's right, feeling so proud. And as soon as this has happened, she stopped going to the gym. My focus is not on this man. I'm sorry. My focus as a coach is zooming in on this woman because her mindset is not okay. Her mindset is completely focused on this on this guy. She's done everything that he's done. And then to add insult to injury, she says he has said he will pay her however much she wants. She hasn't said he's come and said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. Please forgive me. I will pay you. So is she the wife or is she the nanny? I don't believe in telling people what to do. All I'm going to say to you, lady, is talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love if they came with you, if they came to you with the story. And let me tell you now, I also have a feeling that financially, he is the boss. Financially, he is the boss, which makes your hands tied. And that is the problem. He is the king of his castle. And I mean, let's think about it, ladies. Why would the guy, out of all the things he could say to her, I will pay you whatever amount of money you want. And so there's a certain level of the relationship which has been about that. You behave, I'll give you this. You do this, you tie your tubes, I'll give you this. You remain sexy, I'll give you this. And by the way, lady, don't get it twisted. The sex life might not necessarily be good because that's what you want. You're just lucky that he's good for you. But this guy that you're with is one of the most self-centered and selfish people I've ever met. And for me, if I was you, I would get my ducks in a row, because let me tell you something. If he can do this, he's going to do worse in the future.
Yeah, I mean, well said. You've hit the nail on the head. I completely agree with, everything you ladies have said. Totally unacceptable behavior, completely. And the fact that you want to pay her off as well in some way, somehow, compensate her. The best compensation would have been not to, get another girl pregnant. And she's under 18.
That's defilement.
Could be, yes.
It's a crime.
Yes,
it's a crime. Why does he want to be
under
18?
Under 18, so that's a problem. Unless, of course, she's someone who is much older for an SHS student. But the average SHS student is under 18 years. So that in itself is a problem that should be looked at separately. This is not a man you should encourage. And certainly not a man you should lock yourself in and say divorce is not an option.
And that's
he doesn't value what you have.
And that statement that he made, that she should tie her tubes because he didn't want another child. That means he knows how children are made. He actually knows.
And yet he could have it with a teenager.
He could go unprotected without even... Because, see, the easiest thing to do is to monitor your wife's cycle together with her. That's not the easiest things to do. I know men who have their wife cycles on their phones. Timetable. They know when to go, when not to go. You understand? So if you know how children are made, you cause your wife to tie her tubes, and yet you're able to freelance into a no zone. Freelance into an area, a child. I mean, really. It's the more you think, I think this is one of those stories that, you think the story is absurd, but the more you think about it, the more absurd it gets. Anyway,
let me bring in a couple of comments. Fifi says, why are people not choosing their mental health and sanity over divorce is not an option for me? Luggard says, don't take care of the baby. Let the baby be with her family. Once you accept it, he will keep bringing more. This girl will complete SHS and give birth and bring the baby again with an excuse of she'll be going to the university and wouldn't get time to take care of it. My dear, take care of yourself. Go to the gym. Don't lose yourself because of that cheat. Who knows? Someone might be checking you out. Kojo says, if you accept the child because you can afford to part with any amount you want, then be ready to start a nursery school in your home. Why go through a seizure of not getting pregnant for him, but expecting you to raise his vagabonds? Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by seizure, but yeah, okay. Ekia says, may thunder fire that his mouth that he's using to say that nonsense to you. Agnes says, that's very rude for your husband to ask you to take care of his outside baby. Utter nonsense. And why not give the baby to the girl's mother? This guy has some serious nerves. Fafri says, don't accept that stupid proposal of taking care of the baby. Your man doesn't respect you because for you to cheat, get the person pregnant and tell your wife who you've cheated on to accept the baby and take care of it, simply because that your side chick wants to go to school, is so disrespectful. don't accept it. Akpene says, it's very disappointing, Nanaya, but please don't look at your husband's mistake. Take care of the child, and later he will appreciate you for it. As for the gym, change your mentality of trying to look good for him. Look great for yourself. Don't stop going to the gym. He will come to his senses soon. I'm sorry. All the best. Jimmy says, honestly, I think you did your best. For an SHS girl, if you need and love your husband as you say you do, then please accept the child. It's no fault of the child, but if you can't be a good mother to that child, don't accept and ruin that child's life as well as yours. Lynn says, certainly divorce is not an option because from your story, he is wealthy. Las will have to succumb to his requests in his... Okay, I don't get the message.
Like last, she will succumb to his request of offering him money.
Because he has the money. Yeah. All right. And finally, Elijah says, such stupid, foolish, and useless men are the reason some of us are not getting ladies who will appreciate us. After all the sacrifice this lady is making, what kind of beast are you?
Another thought.
Yes.
One quick one.
Sure.
Okay. Do you think that because of the way she looks good, he knows the kind of woman that he has, that he has subdued into whatever, and he asked her to tie her tube so that even if she divorces and she meets somebody else, she probably will not be able to have a baby for somebody else. Because in Africa, usually, so far as you're capable of having a baby, when you get even married to somebody else, they would want to have at least one child with you to solidify the union.
Right.
So it's probably even coming from a selfish point of view to make sure that she will never move on because she can never be able to have a baby with somebody else.
Well, who knows the heart of men?